Today I am going to discuss about a very important ayah of Quran Majid which is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah in verses 186. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ وَيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلِيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and when my servant ask you, O Muhammad, peace be upon you, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, concerning me, indeed I am near. I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. So let them respond to me by obedience and believe in me that may be rightly guided. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself saying and messaging to Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, if the people of Makkah and Medina and the Arab and the whole globe ask you about me, so convey this message to him, to them, that indeed I am near, and I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. So let them respond to me by obedience and believe in me that they may be rightly guided. It's a very important ayah for the all mu'mineen and muslimin and the whole human being. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the very good news to us that He is really near to us. If we will call, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond of our prayers, of our supplications. He will fulfill our requirements. He will fulfill our desires. So, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that we need to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should be rightly guided. We should be on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. We should be on that path which was indicated and directed by Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam. There is a condition. When our prayers, when our supplications will respond, when we will be on the path of Sirat al-Mustaqim, when we will be on the guided path, when we will be on the way of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam, when we will be on the way of Quran Majid, when we will be on the path of the companion of Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam, when we will believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we will believe in the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we will believe in the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we will believe in the malaika and the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we will believe in the day of resurrection, when we will believe in our predestination, and when we will focus on the ayah of Quran Majid, when we will focus on the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alaihi wasallam, when we will focus on the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so there is a condition. So definitely Allah will respond to our prayers. What is the reason behind is when we are not getting the proper rest while reciting the name of Allah, by reciting the ayah of and verses of Quran Majid, because we all are not belongs to the Arabs. We are not, our mother tongue is not Arabs. It's a very basic phenomena. When if you will understand, to respond something we need to understand. So Quran is the message, the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when we are reciting Quran Majid, so we are not understanding the message of Allah. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in Quran, we are not understanding. So to understand, to get the rest of our hearts, to get the response from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of our prayers, we need to understand the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. To understand the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we need to understand Quran Majid and the verses of Quran Majid in our own language. So that's why we are not getting the response from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also mentioning in Quran Majid, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. And when my servant asks you, O Muhammad, peace be upon you, concerning me, indeed I am near, and I respond to the invocation of the supplicant when he calls upon me. So let them respond to me by obedience and believe in me that may be rightly guided. So we need to focus on the Quran Majid. We need to understand the life of Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We need to see the life of the companion of Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We need to understand the message of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Inshallah, we'll get the good reward on the day of judgment. May Almighty Allah keep us on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. May Almighty Allah grant us to get the place in His heaven. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all the evils. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the mushrikeen, the kafirin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from all the fitnas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the torment of qabr and the akhir, the day of judgment. Subhan rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. जब दमे वापसी हो या अल्लाह लब पे जारी हो कलमा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह मुहम्मद रसूलुल्लाह.